Hi, this is Katie. In today's video, I'm going to be doing kind of a serious story time video. Something happened last summer that I went back and forth a little bit about if I wanted to share it with you, and I definitely decided that I wanted to share it, but then I didn't know when, and now it's been like 7 months, but I'm like, Katie, you just gotta share this story. I shared it a little bit on Instagram, but I've never talked about it at all on YouTube, and so I wanted to tell you guys something that happened last summer. This is a serious video. I know a lot of my videos lately have been serious because of my health and stuff, but in all honesty, just the last, 7-8 months of my life have just been kind of difficult, and a lot of circumstances around me have been kind of difficult, and I really like to share the good and the bad with you guys as much as I can and as much as I feel comfortable. And so this story I do feel comfortable sharing, and it's just something that has really affected my life, and so I want to share it with you guys. So that's what the story is going to be today. I really hope that you're subscribed. A lot of my content is travel and road trip related, but then I also talk about mental health and some serious personal, more in-depth stuff as well. So I really hope that you're subscribed. And yeah, I guess if you want to hear a personal story that ended up kind of just being a secret that I've had from you guys for like 7 months, if you want to hear this personal story, I hope that you keep watching. So last summer, I was in New York and I did a bunch of videos with my friend Matt, and some of them were us like traveling around Long Island because we both grew up here, but there were a bunch of places on Long Island that neither of us have really ever visited before. And so we went to a bunch of new places and made vlogs and showed you guys. And one of the places that he and I wanted to go see was a park that was on the water. And so we arrived at this park and we parked the car. There were a couple trails through the woods, and at least one of them led to the water, led to like a little beach. And so we took one of those trails. It was about a half mile through the woods, and it was just a trail. It was not hilly or anything. It's Long Island. Most trails are pretty flat. And so we walked, it was about a half mile just through the woods, through this little trail. And then it ended at a clearing, and then there were a set of stairs that led to the beach. And so, we went on that little hike, and then we walked down. It was like 2 flights of stairs, and then it led to the beach and the water, and it was beautiful. Like, we took video footage, we took pictures. It was really, 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 really pretty. We were on the North Shore of Long Island. And so this is the part that might get me a little emotional. There's 2 parts of this video that might get me a little emotional. This is the first one. When we were walking back up the stairs to get back to the car, one of the steps broke underneath me and my leg fell through. And the way it fell through, it like completely cut up my leg. And it was just such like a freak accident. Like, I literally was just walking upstairs and one of them broke. It had to be that there was some sort of crack, and then just my weight on it just broke the rest of it. Because there wasn't a hole or anything. It's not like I fell through a hole. I was just walking up and one of the pieces broke. And it was terrifying because it's such a freak accident. I don't think anyone has ever in the history of the world expected that stairs would break underneath them. But it was just such a freak accident, and so my leg fell through, and it was immediately excruciating pain. And I'm very grateful that Matt was there. So Matt was like, oh my gosh. So he like helped me get my leg out. And one of the first things he said to me was something like, oh, you're scratched up real bad, or something, you're cut up real bad, something like that. And so he helped me get out of the hole. And I don't even know if I looked at my leg yet. I think I was a little too scared because it was some of the worst pain that I've ever had. So I didn't know if like I broke it. I didn't know if like my bone, like I didn't know what was going on, but I just knew that it hurt so bad. So Matt helped me up, and then he was like, do you want to take a rest for a second? And I'm like, no, I want to get back to the car. Like, I just want to get back to the car. So I held on to him and we started walking while I was like hopping. And after like a minute or so, I'm like, I can't do this. It hurts too badly. I can't do it. And so, that innate fear we all have of being hurt and stuck in the woods, I was living that fear. This was one of those parks that had like volunteers, and so we really assumed that there were going to be volunteers and or like people who worked there or whatever around. And so Matt decided to go get help, and so I sat on the ground in the middle of the woods by myself with a bleeding leg, and Matt ran to get help. That was like our best option. I was able to call someone that I know, so like I wasn't like alone because luckily we had service. But so Matt like ran to go get help. He came back 5-10 minutes later, and he was able to find someone and talk to them, and they said that they were going to get the truck and come get us. And so, 5-10 minutes after that, there were two or three girls who came with the truck. One of them cleaned up my leg, and we got in the truck. They drove us back to the car, and then Matt drove me home. I cannot explain that it was one of the worst pains I've ever had. And then a lot of you guys know that in November, I started getting acid reflux. That was another one of the worst pains that I've ever had. So last year, 2021, was one of the most painful, physically painful years I've ever had. I also had tendonitis. So I just had a lot of like physical pain that year. And you know, when I got back to the place that I was staying, Matt drove me back, got back to the place that I was staying, and I soaked my leg because I fell through stairs, but the stairs were kind of like that, like fake wood. So I wasn't really worried about splinters or anything, but still soaked it to make sure that nothing was in there. And then, you know, cleaned it up, wrapped it up and stuff. And I was just in excruciating pain. I ended up going to the doctor. Not that day, but like I did end up going to the doctor, and he said that the cut was infected. So by the time I ended up actually at the doctor, the cut was infected. So he had to put me on antibiotics. But I was also like, why does it hurt so bad? Like it feels way worse than just a cut. Because the cut, it was a deep cut, but not deep enough to need stitches. So I'm like, why does this hurt so bad? It hurts way more than just a deep cut. And he looked at my leg and he did x-rays and nothing was broken. But when I told him the kind of pain that I was having, he told me that I have nerve damage. And so essentially, I'll just kind of like show you on my covered leg. When I fell, can you even see my leg? It's like black on dark gray. When I fell, I cut right down here. Oh, that even felt weird. I'll keep explaining. But I cut like a big chunk here and then a big chunk here. It somehow skipped like an inch in the middle, but I cut a big chunk here and a big chunk here. So if you can tell, that's right on the front of my shin. And so not only when I got that deep cut and when I just banged my leg, you know, because when I fell, it like banged it too really hard and then it like scratched it all the way down. But when I did that, it was right on the front of my shin. And so I hit the bone. Obviously, again, nothing was broken or chipped or anything, but I hit the bone. But I also hit one of my main nerves in my leg. I think he said there are 2 main nerves in your leg, I think he said. And right on the front of the shin is one of them. And so going down, I not only got pretty badly cut, that I'm just gonna have a scar forever. I don't care about scars, but that it, you know, it was a pretty deep cut. It took a while to heal. But I hit my bone and I hit one of the nerves. And so this is kind of the other part that gets me emotional because the nerve damage is like here and on the bottom of my foot, on the heel of my foot. Essentially, you know, to kind of finish that story, this happened early July, by the way. You know, I got put on antibiotics and the cut ended up healing and the pain was excruciating for another month or so. Not as excruciating the first day. Like the first day pain did subside a little bit, where the next month, like I was able to sleep and stuff, you know, but it still hurt really, really badly. It bruised up like crazy. It was like yellow and green. I called it my Shrek leg. I don't even think I've ever seen Shrek, but I called it my Shrek leg. So it was like yellow and green and gross. And the cut was just like open for a while because it was like a pretty big cut. Again, I didn't need stitches or anything, but I still had really, really bad pain. Not as bad as the first day, but I still had really, really bad pain for about another month or so that I could barely walk. I was limping quite heavily and it just really hurt for maybe another month, maybe 6 weeks. I was icing it a lot, had it wrapped, you know. But when the doctor said that I had nerve damage, he kind of said that obviously with nerve damage, it could last forever, but there's also certain ways to treat it, kind of maybe, and then, you know, I guess sometimes it goes away. He told me that it's likely that the least amount of time I'll have it is 6 to 12 months. But then obviously there is like a really good chance that I'll have it forever. So fast forward now to January, it's 7.5 months later, I'm still limping. And I don't know if you guys have noticed in any of my videos, but I am still limping. I still do have the nerve damage up here. And I don't even really notice this nerve damage unless I touch it. And it's really weird. If you guys have nerve damage, you might know. If I like touch over here, like if I have like an itch or something over here and I scratch it, I feel it over here. It is so weird. It's so weird. But that's not like horrifically painful or anything. It kind of feels like you hit your funny bone. So it's like painful, like tingly kind of. It's definitely not the worst pain ever, but it's just like more weird and like uncomfortable and like painful tingling is kind of how I can explain it. But I really only feel it if I accidentally like hit this part of my leg or if I'm scratching or something like that. But the rest of my nerve pain is on the bottom of my foot, on the heel of my foot. And so I can't put any pressure on it. I know that it could have been so much worse. It was such a freak accident of stairs breaking underneath me. That is not something that happens. People fall up the stairs all the time. People fall down the stairs all the time too. People do not fall through stairs. It was just like one of the most freak accidents that I've ever been a part of. And I'm so grateful that Matt was there to help me too, because I'm glad that I had service, but if I was alone, that I probably would have had to call 911, or I would have just had to see if I could scream or track someone down or something. But that's why I always say, even if you're on a trail, but especially if you're hiking and stuff, please hike with someone else, just in case. You never know what could happen, you know? But yeah, so I'm so grateful that it was not worse. I'm so grateful that I can walk, but I am still limping. I don't put any pressure on the heel of my foot. And so I don't know long-term how that's gonna be for like my hip and stuff, but for now, it's okay. Like, I'm very used to it. I don't even notice it anymore. I mean, again, I know it could have been so much worse. I'm not complaining. I'm really not complaining. I'm just sharing a story with you guys. Last year was just the hardest year of my life. If we're adding the tendonitis and the falling through stairs and the nerve damage and all the acid reflux stuff and every other physical thing that I've dealt with, and then a bunch of personal things as well, last year was just the hardest year of my life. And this year is starting out so much better, and I'm really in like a good mental state, but last year was just really hard. And this is just a story that is potentially going to affect me potentially forever, but at least, you know, pretty long term. And so I did want to share it with you guys, and I appreciate you guys, you know, being here to listen to my stories. And I hope that being vulnerable with you helps you in some way, you know, that we can connect, and, you know, just so you know that we're kind of all in this together. So yeah, so thank you for listening to my story. Again, day to day, I'm in no pain with my leg. Like, no pain at all. It's really just if I put pressure on my heel, if I accidentally hit my heel, or if like I hit my leg or something, then I'll have like a twinge of pain for a few seconds, but there's no like 24/7 pain. I'm so grateful. But again, I don't want this to be like a pity party complaining video. This is really just, I wanted to share something pretty big that happened to me last year that I just didn't share in the moment. And so now I was ready to share it. So I hope that this doesn't seem like a pity party, but I do understand that this was just another serious video. But I had a hard year. I had a really rough year, and I want to be able to share that with you guys so you guys can see the ups and the downs of my life, you know? And so anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful day. I love you, Jesus loves you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.